All righty, so we're doing top 10 first halves in the history of the game.
Yeah, for history of the Oakland A's, guys who've had the best first half or pre-All-Star break, as we're going to call it, because obviously the All-Star break is not exactly at the halfway mark. The A's, obviously, franchise in Oakland littered with Hall of Fame players and All-Star players and guys who put together just amazing first 3 months of the season that really stand out.
Well, we have the honorable mention.
Yeah, there's a lot of – so what we did, because, a lot of guys had multiple great first halves. So I just picked the best of the best for that player. But honorable mention-wise, guys who had great first half that maybe by themselves, Marcus Simeon in 2019, huge numbers. Josh Donaldson in 2013 had huge numbers, and 2014 as well. Olsen last season, huge. And then pitchers, Mulder in 2001, Hudson in 2003. These were all fantastic years, first halves of years. Not enough to make this list, however.
That's a big list then. By the way, have you seen that Matt Olson right now is on pace for 60 doubles for the season?
Yeah, he had already set, he was second most doubles before his first 70 games with the Braves, second most in Braves history through 70 games, more than Hank Aaron ever hit, more than Eddie Matthews. Just a doubles machine. Now the ball's starting to go out of the yard, too. He's starting to hit home runs.
So I never realized it's harder to hit 60 doubles than it is to hit 60 home runs.
Yeah. Earl Webb, right?
It was a list of, the last guy to do it was like 1935.
Yeah, it's crazy. And because what Olson's going to have happen is these balls that were doubles in April and May are going to be homers now in July and August. So I think his doubles are actually going to go down a little bit and his homers are going to go up.
It means monster year for our old friend Matt Olson. All right, number 10.
Let's start with a big name. Let's start with Jose Canseco in 1988. This is Jose's third full season, and this is the year he put it all together. This was his 40-40 year. This was his MVP year. And he showed it all in the first half. Right, 290 average, 24 bombs, 22 steals, and just great defense. He was playing right field. He just moved over to right, and he was fantastic because when Jose cared about playing and being good, he was one of the best players in the game, and he showed that first half. In the second half, he was even better. Right, he had 328 in the second half with 18 homers, so over 1,000 OPS. But that first half put him on the map, and that's when everyone got excited. Right. He was the rookie of the year in 86, but then Maguire took all the glory in 87, right, with the rookie record 49 home runs. But Jose in 88 said, this is my game. And he put everybody on notice. This is a great A's team, and he was the best player, and he did everything so well, and he was the story in 1988.
All right, will Jose come up again on this list?
No, you're only going to get to come up once.
Okay.
He had some other good first halves, but this was his best one.
Then let me say this about Jose Canseco, because now everything we do for some reason is Ricky Henderson.
Yeah.
Okay. I was in high school. I was in San Diego. The A's are the best team in baseball. Jose Canseco was the best player in baseball. He was the biggest star in Major League Baseball. And everybody, it didn't matter what town you grew up in, he was the guy you wanted to see at the All-Star game. He was the guy. We now see him in a completely different light, and it's like this pariah, and it's this whole thing. But when I was growing up, he is one of my favorite players, and that's why when they called me to do the Out in Concord, remember he had his film, and they called me to, hey, will you get on stage with Jose Canseco? I said, you're damn right, I'll get on. I loved Jose. When I was a kid, to this day, I still have the Jose Canseco on the table at home for A's Cast Live. I loved Jose Canseco when I was a kid.
As an A's fan, after Billy Martin left, right, and now you're in the 82, or 82 was last year, but at 83, 84, there wasn't a lot to get excited about. But you kept hearing about this young kid, this Cuban kid playing in the minors, Jose Canseco, who hits bombs. And when we first saw him in a spring training game in 85 that was on television, and he had a weird batting stance, and he kind of crouched down, you're like, I don't know. And then he hits a ball 600 feet. You're like, oh, my. And then, the great rookie year, he was very good in 87, but boy, in 88, to see a guy that big, that strong, and that fast, we'd never seen that. Right, and all the talk about, well, if Willie Mays knew 40-40 was a thing, he would have done it. Maybe, but Jose's the first to ever do it.
And Jose did it in a year. Well, there's steroids involved. But Jose did it in a year that mattered.
Yeah.
What ended up happening after that, you see Bonds, you see A-Rod. They did it in years where it didn't. They were having bad teams, weren't good. Jose was doing it in a season that mattered.
Yeah, 104-win season for the A's, and he won the MVP, and he was the best player in baseball.
All right, number 9.
Number 9, we're going to go to a rookie year, probably the best rookie first half year. And this is Mitchell Page in 1977. And you know my love for Page the Rage and how he got screwed.
You are for me, even someone, like 70s, still too young. 70s is 70s for you is my 80s.
Right. It's my formative years.
Yeah.
Right. I'm 9 years old and I'm watching Mitchell Page. Yeah. And this is the greatest guy I've ever seen. He's hitting .308 in the first half, 11 bombs, 20 doubles, 902 OPS, 24 for 24 in stolen bases.
That's massive.
Mitchell Page, this is an unbelievable debut. He's not named to the All-Star team. Mitchell Page is not named to the All-Star. The A's had 2 All-Stars in 1977. One was Vida Blue, all right, perennial All-Star, the last remnant from the A's championship.
He's a star.
He's a star. And Wayne Gross.
And what was Mitchell Page's numbers?
Mitchell Page was .308 with 11 homers, a 902 OPS, 24 for 24 in steals.
So he's hitting extra bases. He's hitting for power, and he hasn't been caught stealing.
No, but they go with Wayne Gross. Wayne Gross hit .235, but had 15 home runs. So he had more homers than Mitchell Page. He had 4 more homers, but did nothing else better. And Wayne Gross got to go to the All-Star game.
We didn't have OPS then.
We didn't have OPS, and maybe there was something else going on too. Hate to say it, but Mitchell was kind of looked down upon, I think, and they wanted to bring up Wayne Gross, and it gets worse. It gets worse. First of all, none of the A's players, Vida or Wayne Gross, even gotten to the game at Yankee Stadium. Billy Martin didn't play either one of them. Wayne Gross was one of only 2 AL position players who did not get in the game. Billy Martin probably didn't even know who Wayne Gross was. But here's the thing for me with Mitchell, because the second half, Mitchell Page is just as good. He hits .307 with 10 more homers, finally gets caught stealing, but an OPS of .955.
That's monstrous.
And does not win Rookie of the Year. No, it goes to Eddie Murray. Now, over the long time of your career, yes, Eddie Murray is going to be a Hall of Famer. But career. That first year, Page's WAR 6.1. Eddie Murray's 3.2. Page out hit him, 307, out stole him with the 42 steals and higher OPS. But Eddie Murray had the higher counting numbers. And back in 1977, all they really went with was counting numbers. 27 homers and 88 RBIs.
Biggest thing is one guy played on the East Coast, one played on the West Coast, and no MLB Network, no Sports Center, no app. No, how was the East Coast really to know what the hell was going on? Because your box score wouldn't show up for that game 2 days later.
Right. Kind of like the Chronicle now when you come to think.
Oh, wow.
Oh, hey.
Shots fired here in the city.
But, it's funny because Mitchell Page, you can go to YouTube now, and there's a series that Mitchell Page had at Fenway Park where he was just a monster. And there are great highlights to watch him play because he was so good.
And that's when people said, hey, you got to do it in New York. There was a reason why you needed to do it when you're in New York, Boston. The North needs to see you because out West, and that was when they said to the Dodgers and the Giants, you move out there, no one's going to know about you.
That's it. So Eddie Murray got 12 first place votes. Mitchell got 8. Bump Wills, Maury Wills' kid, got 4 first place votes. And I still don't know how that happened. And it was kind of those votes that did not go to Mitchell Page that cost him the Rookie of the Year.
Number 8.
John Jaha. You play Ozzy Osbourne. Let's go. So this is one of the first of the A's reclamation projects of getting a guy who had been good, right? John Jaha had a year in Milwaukee in 1996 where he had 34 homers and 118 RBIs. But then he got injured and he had kind of nothing years in 97, 98. The A's take a flyer on him for 99 and they make him their everyday DH. And they hit pay dirt, right? A first half, he had 286 with 19 homers, drove in 56, a 585 slugging. He's in the middle of this A's lineup with Giambi and Matt Stairs, and he's the A's All-Star representative, and he deserved it. And he finishes the year with 35 homers, 111 runs batted in, 101 walks. And this was what, eventually Frank Thomas in 2006 and what they tried to hit with Mike Piazza in 2007 and Sweeney in 2008, Garcia Parra 2009. But Jaha was really the first of this, right? And they hit on it and they thought, well, we can do this again. And they did do it again with Frank, but really not much else helped.
And what was his? Was it torn quad or something?
He had
like
a
that?
shoulder was with the A's. Ended up being a shoulder. It was his legs with Milwaukee and a shoulder with the A's. He played a little bit in 2000, tried to come back in 01, and just couldn't stay healthy. And John Jaha was a fantastic human being, just a good dude, big Raider fan. So he was really excited to be in Oakland. 99 All-Star games at Fenway, and that's when they bring out Ted Williams. Yeah. And so you see that video. And there's John Jaha, and he's soaking it up, and good for him.
Yeah, number 7.
Jason Giambi. Jason Giambi in 2000, again, this was his MVP year, and he took hold of that award in the first half. In that first half, he hit 334. And you didn't see players in Oakland hitting 334. That doesn't happen. All right, 22 bombs, OPS of over 1,000, but his on base was 474. So almost half the time he's reaching base in these 85 games. 78 walks, only 55 strikeouts. Now, Giambi let himself kind of know in 99, 98 that he's coming. But now this is where it just took over. He's the starting first baseman in the All-Star game in Atlanta. Fans notice how good Jason Giambi is. Wins the MVP, outdistanced Frank Thomas and A-Rod and deserved it. Should have won it in 01 because he had a better year than Ichiro Suzuki. But Ichiro had all the flash and the things, and it was Ichiro.
Like something out of Star Wars.
Giambi was even better in 2001, but that first half in 2000, that was superstar. You're seeing a superstar before your eyes. A guy who hit 315 the year before, hit some bombs, but this was putting it all together. And an underrated first baseman. He kind of got a bad rap, but he could pick it at first. Eric Chavez doesn't win all those Gold Gloves without Jason Giambi picking these balls in the dirt. Tejada would not be thought of as good defensively if it wasn't for Jason Giambi. Yeah, he didn't have a lot of range. He had no arm, but he could pick it.
According to Moneyball, it's first base. It's easy.
Anyone can do it. It's incredibly hard.
Number 6.
Number 6 in our Oakland Athletics first half. This one surprised me, but looking back at it, I go, yeah, it's pretty good. Justin Dukesher.
Just the Duke?
Justin Dukesher in 2008. Now, this was a guy who made the All-Star team as a reliever in 2005. And a reliever, we had a 1.49 ERA. But now he's a starter. His first full year as a starter. And that first half, in 16 starts, he goes 10-5 with a 1.82 ERA, which is the second lowest in Oakland history for the first half. So it's legitimate, right? Justin Dukesher getting the job as a starter. He was dominant out there. Every time he took the mound, you thought you were going to win. 10-5 with a 1.82 is no joke, right? Fortunately,
not throwing 100 too, by the way.
No, mixing it up, curveballs, tall guy on the mound, but he threw strikes and he battled. He had a little. When I think back to it, Chris Bassett kind of reminds me of what Dukesher was. That the way he battled and competed last year, that's what Dukesher would do, especially in 2008. Then the injuries. Hip injury curtailed his second half, then an elbow surgery in 2009. Then he had physical injuries, then he had some mental health issues, and his career was just never the same. Made 5 starts in 2010, and that was it at the major league level. So really making the All-Star team for a second time in 2008 was a high watermark for him.
Number 5.
He had to be on this list somewhere, right? Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, he's always going to.
Yeah, and again, here's a great first halves in 81. In 82, he had 84 stolen bases before the All-Star game. 84. Now, he was also caught 23 times, but he's had 84.
That is something, as much as we got to talk about how great Ricky is. There's 2 things. He wasn't easy to deal with. Sandy Alderson gave us a great story at the winter meetings. Like, when we were trading it, we were like trying to get back from New York. Everybody wasn't totally on board, right? That history doesn't get brought up. And number 2 is, as much as he got caught a lot.
Yeah, caught a lot.
Like, you go back and look at the numbers, you go, wow.
That's the thing about that 82. 130 steals, 42 caught stealings. 42 times he got caught. So that's 172 stolen base attempts. And he really didn't play in September. He missed like 3 weeks in September. Think about that. How many times he tried to run. No one's getting caught 42. Nobody's stealing 42 bases, let alone getting caught 42
No one
times.
has the energy to steal 42 bases.
So that's what makes 1990 so special for him as a first half.
So he had 80. How many did he have?
84 at the All-Star break.
84 at the All-Star break, folks. This is a late All-Star break with the All-Star game being on the 19th. Usually it's early July. It's like right after the 4th.
Yeah, usually it's close to the 81 game mark. It's usually about the 85, 86 game mark, so a little over. This one's a little later.
Base game.
Basically. So that's what makes 1990 so amazing is before the break he had 39 steals, but only 4 caught stealings. Right? Now you're seeing this efficiency in the stolen base game. Oh, by the way, he also was hitting 335, which is the A's record for the first half of the season, 17 homers, 39 steals, 53 walks, only 30 strikeouts. And he's Ricky. This was his MVP year. And this is as good as a leadoff hitter is going to be in 1990. I mean, look at his final numbers, 325 average, second in the AL, 28 home runs as a leadoff hitter, 65 steals, 439 on base, over 1,000 OPS. He beats out Cecil Fielder for the MVP. And this was Ricky at his best. And this is 32-year-old Ricky, and just dominating.
It's truly one of the greatest years in the history of baseball.
Yeah, especially from a leadoff hitter to see the power, the speed, the ability to score runs, and the defense as well. Ricky, remember, was a left-handed thrower.
Yeah.
So his gloved hand is going to the line in left field. And Earl Weaver used to always talk about what an advantage that was for Ricky, because you can't run on him. If you have a ball down the line, he's going to get to it fast enough because he doesn't have to backhand it. He can almost come in on it. He's going to not let you get to second base.
And, you think about the power that back then, that kind of power today. I mean, we get all pumped up for George Springer, and no offense, he's had a lot of leadoff home runs, but you think the power for Ricky is pretty incredible for a leadoff hitter.
And that's what
the
made
consistency of it.
Well, it made it so tough to pitch to him, right? Because if you did give him a cookie, he was going deep on you, right? And you can't walk him, because if you walk him, he's going to steal second and possibly third. So what's your dilemma here? You just got to hope Ricky has a bad day, right? Otherwise, you're not getting him out, and he's going to score a run.
Even old man Ricky, whether you want to talk about, I don't know, Dodger, Padre, Mariner, Red Sox, whatever, he still could have 11 bombs in a season.
Yeah, and he was still a factor. Even with his Dodger years with the Red Sox year, he was still a factor, hitting home runs and stealing bases.
Number 4.
This, you kind of forget how good this guy was. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame person, Hall of Fame baseball player. And then you look at his numbers and you have to glance again. This is Dennis Eckersley. And Dennis Eckersley, again, another guy to have great first half. But in 1992, that was his MVP and Cy Young year. And then the numbers, think about this. Before the All-Star break, he was 30 for 30 in saves.
That's pretty amazing.
He was the first ever to have 30 saves before the All-Star break. But 30 for 30. Oh, he also had 2 wins.
Did they do something on ESPN for him?
They definitely should. 5 walks, 50 strikeouts.
He had 5 walks in 30 appearances.
In 37 games, he had
37.
5 walks.
He had 5 walks.
And that was a bad year for him. 5 walks, 50 strikeouts. I mean, final numbers that year, he went 51 for 54 in saves, only 11 walks in 80 innings, a 7-1 record. So even when he blew the save, he'd get the win. Like when he had the streak before Balfour broke it for most consecutive saves in a game that Greg Jeffries tagged him to give the Royals a lead. Harold Baines hits a walk-off home runs, and that got the wins. So he had a 7-1 record, 51 for 54. But that 30 for 30 in saves, 1992, the A's really weren't expected to do much. And
still one of the better teams, though.
One of the better teams, but they were kind of
Blue Jays
injured.
were coming.
They didn't have Dave Stewart. I'm sorry, they still had Dave Stewart in his last year with them. They still had Bob Welch, but he was hurt. They were still struggling with the pitching staff, but they won the AL West. And 30 for 30 in the first half by Dennis Eckersley went a long way.
Pretty amazing. 30 for 30. All right, number 3.
Another pitcher, and just, again, numbers that will blow you away. Vida Blue in 1971. Hey, he won the MVP and the Cy Young that year. I think we're seeing a theme. But before the break, which is the anniversary, was today, was the 71 All-Star game. Was on this date.
When Reggie took it out of the park.
When Reggie went
off the
tower, the transformer in Detroit. Hank Aaron hit a homer. Everybody hit a homer in this game. But Vida Blue started that game. And based on these numbers in the first half, 22 starts, 17-3, 1.42 ERA, 188 strikeouts and 184 in a third innings, 6 shutouts, 17 complete games, and a 179 opponent average. This comes after he started the first game of the season in Washington, D.C. The A's in 71 played their first game in D.C. It was a 1-game series. He only lasted an inning and 2/3 and took the loss. And after that, he goes 17-2 basically in his next 21 starts.
It makes me angry. Do I have to go to my scorebook last night? James Caprillion, 70 pitches, 5 innings. I don't know. You probably haven't been listening to the show, but we did this last night on TV. In 2000, the average pitcher threw 98.6 pitches in 2000. 2022, it's 84.6. What was Vida throwing in 1971?
Yeah, he's throwing 130 to 140 pitches a game, especially with those strikeouts. I mean, think of 17 complete games and 22 starts.
17 complete games.
And he's throwing the ball hard. There's no radar gun to tell you, but the hitters were telling you he was throwing harder than any other pitcher, right? The blue blazer was coming at you. So he was not taking pitches off, and he was dominating, and he was able to go that long, and he had a long career. Athletes today are supposed to be better than they were 40, 50 years ago. And track records will tell you that, right? People were running faster, we're throwing longer, we're doing things better. But in baseball, we're bringing guys, we're pulling them back. We're not letting them go to their full potential because we're afraid of injury, and we think less is more, that we can get more out of them at a longer period of time.
It's not proven out to be.
It's not proven out.
Because if you take away some of the off-field stuff with Vida, I mean, he, in a way, kind of has a borderline Hall of Fame career.
100%. And he was thought of as a Hall of Fame pitcher for almost the entirety of his career, from the A's to the Giants to the Royals back to the Giants. He kept making all-star teams because he was thought of as a Hall of Fame player because he kept putting up those numbers. Vida was, was one of a kind. And that 71 season was, obviously just ridiculous.
And his era was you had to win 300 games. But I'll tell you what, still one of the greatest guys.
Oh, yeah.
Vida Blue is one of the greatest guys ever. Number two,
another rookie, and that's Mark Maguire's 1987. Now, Maguire had some great first half later in his career with the A's in 96 and 97. But in 87, I mean, we're talking, this is no rookie had done this. 294 average, 33 homers before the break, right? Rookie record. Before that, the most homers by a rookie before the All-Star break was 25 in 1950 by Al Rosen. Maguire had 33. Now that's been passed. There's only 2 other guys who had 30, and that's Aaron Judge in 2017 and Pete Alonso in 2019. Mark Maguire is still 33 as a rookie. And the other thing that he did was he made Oakland the place to be. And I still remember this. The weekend before the All-Star break in 87, the A's were playing the Brewers, whereas in the AL then. And the Coliseum is packed for every game. There's a Sunday game against the Brewers. There's 33,000 people there. And it's because of Mark Maguire and Jose Canseco.
Boom.
And that was the thing. You had the superstars that fans wanted to see. It was a place to be. And the Coliseum was just rocking. Now, this was the year the All-Star game was at the Coliseum, right? And so everybody was excited because Maguire actually, he's going to be in the All-Star game. And he gets introduced, the whole thing. It's great. But the Coliseum, it was superstars. It was superstars at the Coliseum. And it was amazing.
Number one, I think we all know where you're going to go with this.
This is Reggie Jackson. And there's no doubt. This is 1969. This is young Reggie, right? This is second full season Reggie. There's no beard. There's no mustache.
They've come from Kansas City.
This is his hair is cut short. This is just Reggie, the ball player. This is his first half. 287, 37 home runs. 24 doubles, 79 ribbies. The major league record for home runs before the break, 37, right? It's since been passed by Barry Bonds, 39 in 2001. But that's it. That's the only player who's had more. Maris before that in 61 and 33. So Roger Maris. So everybody's talking about Reggie breaking Roger Maris's record.
He's on pace to fly by it.
This is 37 homers at the break.
Yeah,
we've never seen this. Cover of Sports Illustrated in the sweet A's uni. It was the vest A's uni. Oh, look good. Starting center fielder in the All-Star game at RFK Stadium. First of 14 All-Star appearances.
RFK Stadium, the home of the Hogs back in the day with the Washington Redskins and the Hall of Famer Joe Gibbs.
So the only unfortunate thing is the second half, the pressure got to Reggie. Maybe the only time pressure ever got to Reggie. And he's talked about it. I mean, the whole Maris chase, And this is 69. I mean, the media is, like you talked about earlier, it's not what it is today with social media and Sports Center and 24-hour news cycles. But even then, the media was getting to him because it was every place he'd go. Roger Maris, can you do it? Can you beat Roger Maris? What do you think? What do you think? You're gonna homer today, Reggie?
The old newsman. So what you think? Can you beat Maris?
Yeah, every day. And he actually broke out in hives. He struggled with it. He only had 10 home runs in the second half of that season. Harmon Killebrew actually passed him for the season lead, right? So 37 home runs before the All-Star break. That still, to me, is unbelievable to think about. 37 from Reggie Jackson in Oakland at the Oakland Coliseum where the ball wasn't flying.
No.
And he had 37.
No. That is truly amazing. I mean, you would have thought he's the guy with that start could have got to 70.
You know what? I think older Reggie probably would have. I think if 73 Reggie or 74 Reggie had done this, Reggie could have handled the media because he would have, you talk about Reggie now and how boastful he would got and he would get big and the whole thing. He wasn't that way in 69. 69 changed him a little bit. And then by the time 72, 73 comes around, if this was Reggie hitting 37, Reggie's hitting 70.
All right, your top 10.
Top 10 first halves in Oakland history. Jose Canseco in 88. Mitchell Page in 77. Robbed from an All-Star game berth and the AL Rookie of the Year. John Jaha in 99. Jason Giambi in 2000. Justin Dukesher in 2008. Ricky in 1990, Eck in 92, Vida in 71, Big Mac in 87, and Reginald Martinez Jackson, 1969, 37 home runs before the break.
This is like a who's list in A's history.
Yeah, it's
a lot of big names.
You go through, you wonder why these guys were great players. Well, this is one of the reasons why.
Well, they have a good season. You don't only have to have a good first half.
The only what's the word I'm looking for? Exception to that is Eric Chavez. Never had a good first half. Never made it. Some
guys start out slow.
Just never put it together early in the year, never got into people, and then would turn it on the second half. One of the few guys that would never had a good first half.
Yeah, I noticed looking down at my scorebook that you didn't have any of this year's A's.
Well, unfortunately, no.
Maybe next year.
You got to hope. You're looking for people to get better. You're looking for progression. You're going to have guys who got opportunities. You would like to see a guy get hot. That's what the A's need at this moment. We're seeing a little bit with Sean Murphy, right? He's been hot now for a week.
Chad Pinder, play him.
You gotta, Chad Pinder doesn't walk. His at bat before that, let him walk you. We got 8 walks all year. Let him walk you.
Maybe if he played every day.
Maybe. But you're looking for someone to get hot and carry this team. Murphy might be that guy right now, which would be nice. This is what we saw in spring training.
Spring training, it was on fire.
He was killing them all. And this is reminding
me of that.
Shortened his
swing, said he didn't want to strike out, and then all of a sudden.
Right center field becomes an option. You're starting to see the ball go that way. The A's can get somebody, a linchpin in that offense. It's just going to lift everybody else up. And you're going to hopefully see some other guys start swinging the bats a little bit.
You are the last guest on A's Cast Live for the first half.
Wow.
This is our last show.
So how did I do? Do I get like a first half award?
Cody, what do we got for him?
I love the list, first of all, and I'm shocked that there's no Ace from this year on there. Not Paul Blackburn, AJ Puck.
2022.
AJ Puck had a good first half.
Paul Blackburn has the best road ERA in all of Major League Baseball at 1.28.
Okay, he couldn't hit.
5-0.
Okay, so how about next time we do first half road performances in Oakland A's history?
See, and then see what the A's need.
We want people to listen to A's Cast, Cody.
Is Blackburn only starts on the road, and Cole Irvin only starts at home.
You have the perfect picture right there.
There it is.
Do we have anything for him?
I don't have anything. You're the one that's sitting right next to him. Do you have a ball or something you can sign for him?
I don't work here. This is this is a road game for me. I'm like Paul Blackburn on the road today in Texas. They can't wait to get me out of here. Well, we'll come up with something. I maybe a signed Trident by Cody, a Ride the Wave Trident.
Oh, remember the Tridents? I love the Trident.
How'd that work out?
Look at that.
Yeah, there you maybe get you a signed Trident or something.
I would have very much enjoyed a signed Trident.
Yeah, we got to start having parting gifts here for you. Come on, A's Cast Live. This,
our great friend Ray Fosse,
yeah,
because he used to always have stuff to give away.
Fosse, You go back into his closet, you walk out with the Arcos golf meters for your clubs. You'd have it was amazing.
Men's Warehouse coupons, which
Yeah.
were great. No, he was unbelievable. The candy, he always had the candy back there he'd give you. That closet was, I think when they cleaned it out, they found like all these giveaways still that they can give out to guests. So I think it's something you need to do. Little guest giveaways.
You know what? We're on, as Dave Cavill would say, I'm on it.
On
We
it.
will make that happen. You mean a lot to us here on A's Cast.
Thank you,
It's
Danny.
awesome stuff.